you for being here today. It's nice to see some familiar faces and really excited to have the opportunity to share with you about some of the things that have been going on at FamilyWise. So welcome and thank you so much for being with us today. I'm really excited for this opportunity to connect with you to share some news from FamilyWise. Today we have a special guest joining us, Brittany Seidel, FamilyWise's Senior Director of Parent Support Services. And she will be helping to share a little bit about a new project that supports incarcerated parents on their parenting journeys. But before we get to Britt, let me share a few updates with all of you. Over the past few months, FamilyWise has been busy with statewide awareness-raising efforts. In recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month in April, we published our second Family Wellbeing Index. The report shares state-level data on indicators like housing, childcare, and healthcare, along with perspectives from our staff and partners working directly with families. By looking at a framework of vital, concrete, and natural supports that families need to thrive, the report offers a snapshot of how Minnesota families are doing. To read the report, visit our website blog page called The Latest. And last month, more than 350 attendees joined us for our 6th annual Growing Resilient Communities Gathering, a conference centered on honoring and celebrating youth voices. Guest speakers spanning a variety of sectors shared insights into the importance of youth voices in decision-making processes and how to effectively recognize and engage young people as leaders. If you missed it, you can find a recap of the event on our blog. This is a busy week here at FamilyWise, and in more ways than one. We are doing some building improvements by recarpeting and painting our early child care center. And in particular, this week we are hosting our first workshop this last weekend, we hosted our first cohort of parent leaders. In partnership with the Department of Human Services, we are launching a revitalized parent leadership program based on the success of the program for many years at Minnesota Communities Caring for Children. We're offering this opportunity for parents as leaders to be prepared to sit at different tables as change makers, and we're excited to support them as they take on new leadership opportunities. And in our offices today, we are hosting the final day of a 4-day wraparound training for individuals from across the United States and Canada. This training is for wraparound coaches, and it's helping them to develop their skills in reaching out to new communities and in preparing wraparound facilitators to do work directly with families. The conference is reviewing a new curriculum and introducing what's known as Me-Wrap to kind of a coaching audience. FamilyWise holds the highest credentialing in wraparound in the state, and last year began capacity building training for Greater Minnesota to make this holistic mental health case management approach accessible to more Minnesota families. And looking ahead, preparations are underway for our Family Fun Scavenger Hunt in September. The scavenger hunt is app-based and open to families of all ages across the state. Over a period of 5 days, teams of families and friends can complete enriching missions that boost well-being and earn points for a chance to win fun prizes. Teams get to see the fun other families are having via a live feed within the app. Last year's game was a joyful celebration of family fun. Hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about that later, and we can't wait for this year's event. And then last but not least, FamilyWise has begun our strategic planning process. With the help of consultants, we recently engaged our staff and partners in a SWOT analysis, which stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats, and we're engaging in key informant interviews. We also surveyed our board and staff using the Charity Review Council's DEI toolkit to ensure that a DEI action plan is woven into the strategic plan. We're working with partners at Mathematica and Prevent Child Abuse America to help us develop strategic priorities related to program evaluation and advocacy as we move forward through our strategic planning process as well. All the information gathered will come together when our board meets for a strategic planning retreat in the fall. So now I'd like to get to our special guest so you can hear about the new and exciting work happening in our Parent Support Services Department. With us is Brittany Seidel, the Senior Director of the department. Britt, welcome, and thank you for being here today. FamilyWise was formed as when we were founded as the first alternative to corrections for women in Minnesota. Through a partnership with the Department of Corrections, we now have a new opportunity to make an impact in this area. Britt, can you talk a little bit about why it is so important to support parents who are incarcerated?
Yeah, thanks for having me, by the way, and nice to meet all of you. Why it's important to support parents that are incarcerated. Well, as we know, incarceration of a parent is an adverse childhood experience, but positive supporting parenting practices, teaching children healthy relationships, and connecting children to quality childcare are all protective factors. So it's really important to support parents parenting children, even if it may look a little different.
Great. Thank you. And I know you've had opportunity to talk with parents and even with some children of incarcerated parents about what they need. Is there anything that you would want to share with this group about that?
Yeah, that regardless of their situation, parents love their children and children love their parents. And to remember that, I think, the feedback we got was resources are super helpful for parents that are incarcerated. It supports them in connecting to their children in a supportive way and allows parents to be involved in their children's community. Parents need resources that will support in self-reflection and learning and knowledge about what is happening and, just what's available in their community. So parents that are incarcerated want to be, more involved, and they need support to make that happen.
So you talk about resources, and we created some materials, I know, as a part of this project. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so this project was really cool. We were able to create a ton of different materials for parents that are incarcerated. So after a lot of conversations with the Department of Corrections and speaking with our lived experience consultant about what is needed, we decided to create what we're calling the Fostering Growth Parenting Workbook. It took a lot of creative minds and research and a very hands-on approach to create this. So we're really excited and we're really proud of the outcome. In the workbook, there is also a video link that we created. It's kind of like a how-to finding quality childcare through an MDH resource called Help Me Connect, which is essentially like a search engine for all resources Minnesota. So this video is kind of a walkthrough using this resource, how to identify quality childcare, what to look for, and why it's important. So that workbook has been kind of a really big undertaking, and we're really excited. Another component to the DOC project was our prevention team also created like an ACEs toolkit. So they have resources on neuroscience, kind of understanding your ACE score, and mapping your circle, which is an activity that supports in mapping your natural supports and really helping parents to identify who is already in their community as is.
That's so exciting. So how did you get the idea for the workbook? And do you have future plans for other ways you'd like to see that workbook used?
Yeah, for sure. So originally, I wanted to update our Circle of Parents handbook to be more department-based, and so that the audience could be kind of the caregiver to any program that's in, under my umbrella and at my department. So after hearing the need of what parents are looking for, it felt important to kind of broaden that project and to deepen the content to meet the needs of all different parents, all different types of caregivers in all different types of situations. So we really wanted to create something that was interactive, educational, fun, self-reflective, and something that promotes like organization, connection, and like understanding. Something that could be used continually, referred back to, shared with, talked about. So then that's kind of how we came up with the Fostering Growth Parenting Handbook. I think for future plans is I really want to get this in the hands of all the participants that we work with. I want my workers, our family specialists, to use it as a tool in working with parents, and for parents to use it as a tool to reflect and learn about their own parenting, and hopefully spread the parenting knowledge and the learnings that they get from it with other parents. So hopefully having it in the hands of all of our participants would be my end goal for sure.
And Britt, you mentioned Circle of Parents. I'm not sure if everyone on the call knows exactly what that is. Can you talk a little bit about that program?
Yeah, definitely. So Circle of Parents is a statewide program, and it's sort of a peer support group. So we have about 50 groups running right now in Minnesota, all over. And they can be affinity groups, they can be closed, open, there's a bunch of different types, but it's getting a group of parents together to really be able to lean on one another and get support and feedback and share and learn from each other. So it's really exciting. It's an opportunity to, build your natural supports. It's an opportunity to learn more about what's happening in your community, to vent sometimes, because we all know parenting is really hard. And it's really not meant to be done, in silo. So having those people that know what you're going through to be able to lean on. So it's a really cool program. We do have an open group at FamilyWise, every Wednesday. It's hybrid, so some are virtual, some are in person, but it's been really exciting to see just the need across the state of just parents wanting to connect and, be there for one another and get support. So, yeah.
Thank you. So to switch gears just a little bit, I know that you and your family participated in Family Fun Fest last year. Since I talked about it above, a little earlier, would you tell us a little bit about your experience? Was it worth it?
Yes, it was so fun. I think the thing that I liked about it the most was it really pushed me to get out of my routine and my comfort zone with my son. We kind of have our little routine after we get home from school, right? We maybe do some sort of walk, bike ride, eat dinner, bath, bed, right? It's the same thing. And so and the app that you use on it was just so easy to use too. But it really prompted us to try new things. So I'm not a huge baker, never have been, but we're okay, let's do it. Let's try it. This app said it was fun. You see all these families enjoying it. Realize that my son loves baking. So it was really cool to be able to kind of have new, fresh ideas to do fun family things and learn things that I like and my son liked that we did not know and probably wouldn't have tried because I'm scared. So it was really cool. And so I would definitely recommend it. It really provided really sweet, memorable moments that I have with my kid. We can look back. I mean, I even just looked at the app from last year and saw all the fun things that we did and how I commented and the pictures I uploaded. So it was really, really, really fun. And I'm really excited to do it again.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this before, but there is something that I think sometimes we're oh, family fun, and we take it for granted, but it's actually really important, isn't it, for kind of the health of a family and for building those, that strong bond between parents and kids?
100%. I mean, it builds secure attachment. I mean, my kid's 4, all he wants is connection. And when you're kind of stuck in that routine and, just kind of waiting and doing the next thing, and all your kid is just all they want to do is play with you. So it really allows us to take a pause, and to remember hey, not everything has to be done in speedy time. Let's just take a moment and to connect and have one-on-one time. And I mean, just to see how much joy it brings him to have that special time. Oh God, worth every second. And it's just a nice reminder. It's okay, sweet. I have to do this every day, to remind myself to, to take a pause and to have that connection with him. So yeah, it's super important. And I think it's a good reminder.
Great. Well, thank you. Now I want to take the opportunity to open it up for anybody who's listening. If you have any questions about anything that I updated or any questions for Britt, would love to hear from you. And so we'll give you a minute if you have any questions. I see some familiar faces on the call, and I'd just like to say, so I see that we have Hannah here from Face to Face. And Britt, I wonder if you would be willing to share a little bit about some of any updates with Bright Beginnings, which is our young parent program. We know that Face to Face does great work with youth as well. And so it might be a great opportunity to kind of talk about some of the work that we might have in common.
Yeah, definitely. I will say it's probably, so last August, we started a new contract in our Bright Beginnings program. So our Bright Beginnings program is specific for young parents up to the age of 24. and doing parent education with them. We do events with them, quarterly. There's a mentoring component to the program. So if the youth is interested in being matched with a mentor in the community, that's a part of the service as well. So it's a really tight-knit group that we have, and the events are really fun. We do, picnics, cooking classes. Our big holiday event tends to be the big, huge one. But yeah, so that's that program. And we just recently, last August, seems recent, but I guess now saying it out loud, it's almost a year ago. But started contracting with Department of Corrections. So we're working with youth parents that are on probation or involved with the JDC. And just doing parent education with them and supporting them in whatever they need as far as that. So that's been, and I know Carrie has a question, but that's kind of been the new fun stuff that's happening. We're really trying to build capacity for the program. We see a huge need in the community. We get a lot of referrals from face-to-face, from schools, from, different shelters, all over the place that are, looking for support for these young parents. So hoping to grow capacity because we do see the need in the community quite a bit.
So Carrie, I see you have a question, or you have your hand up. Maybe you have a comment.
Yeah, no, I do have a question. Thanks. I'm just curious about, you said you had to have like multiple conversations with the Department of Corrections, and it sounded like there was quite a process to kind of get that moving forward. And I'm just wondering, if there's specific policies or laws or just systems things that seem to get in the way of the work that needs to happen. And if there's something like big P policy or little P policy that you just know is a constant or consistent barrier to to families or to FamilyWise in terms of any of the services that you're doing. I just wanted to know if there was something specific.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I think so with the project with DOC was really just kind of getting to know what is really needed from the participants to really have that project move forward. But within working in the DOC the last year or so, there's a lot of things that have come up, right? I think, and I don't think this is, necessarily specific to DOC. I think it's across the board. I think it's capacity. I think case managers are super busy, really high caseloads. So really getting that really rich support that I know every participant, incarcerated, not incarcerated, family, that everyone deserves, is just not feasible, right? And I think that it's the lack of time, lack of resources that are really being provided. So I don't know if it's necessarily DOC, but I think a big overarching trend that I see is just not really, it just seems like I have so many people to take care of. I have such a high caseload. And so I think that would be kind of the main thing. And that's what I'm kind of hearing from across the board too. And I think, our community is in huge crisis. I think, the cases that we used to have in, for example, our in-home program or our parent support outreach program, they're a lot more serious now. So the attention that each case needs is a little bit deeper. So I think because our community is, in pain, we definitely see that on our end with, deeper supports needed and just not having, the capacity at times to do that.
I would add a couple of things really quick to that as well. I think just from maybe this is more of a big P thing, but I think we've been a little bit concerned about young people who are being certified as adults, just because they have a certain chronological age. Doesn't mean that they're really acting in an adult fashion, and then they're being, kind of charged as adults. And so I think that's something that we continue to kind of think about and struggle and try and support and work around. So that's a very true policy thing. And then I think a lot of our conversations with DOC really were about how to make something work in their system. And I think, originally, I think we were thinking about doing a lot of sort of training around, ACEs and neurobiology and epigenetics with their staff. But I think increasingly we're really struggling and working toward how do we share that information directly with families? To provide that information to professionals is certainly good, but I don't think it's moving the needle in the way that we want it to. And so I think that's kind of one of the things that will be really, we've started to talk about, we've been working on, especially thinking about like, what might we do with youth and bringing that information to youth. But we're really in the next year going to be trying to really think about very intentionally, how do we share that with families directly, because they have truthfully, they're the ones who are going to be empowered to act on that information in the best ways. So those are a couple other things I would add to what Britt said.
Thank you both.
Any other questions or comments?
Can you hear me, Ann?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, this is Hannah Kitacho Cruiser with Face to Face. And I'm in a place where I don't have great connection. So just let me know if I drop off, but I really didn't want to miss this conversation. Thank you. FamilyWise does such great work. And I already heard kind of a couple places where we could collaborate more on. We serve young people, as you all may know, between the ages of 11 and 24. And really, the parenting component about particularly the education piece is really key. And so being able to have those conversations on site for us would be helpful. We have a housing program, with medical clinic, mental health clinic, and some youth justice piece that we're doing, as well as workforce development. And as I think about our day shelter drop-in center safe zone, there are a lot of young people, about 80 to 90, who come there every day. And so there's an opportunity to kind of build some collaboration with you all about having some of those things on site, as well as what you said, Anne, about policy. It's really, really important to do that work. So we have a group of young people organized as a kind of leadership council. I'm curious about what we could do together around some of that education piece too, not just the policy changes, but also how do we get information that's helpful for our people we serve, so that there is behavior change, there's education, there's empowerment, not just the people who serve them. That's kind of what I heard you say, Anne. So that's just a great idea, and I'd love to have more conversations about that. And just want to say thank you for the great work you do.
Thanks, Hannah. And yeah, I think those are all great points. I certainly know Safe Zone and Face to Face as being one of the leaders in our community for youth, especially in the way that you've approached kind of mental health challenges for youth and the accessibility of care for young people. So we used to actually do a staff safe zone many years ago. And so I think it'd be great for us to continue that partnership and again, raise up some of those issues that we're all seeing together. I think in any lens that you look at, we know that young people in our communities are struggling, and we're all trying to kind of contribute a piece of the puzzle to kind of provide opportunities for them for growth and success. And we need to continue to work together to make sure that those opportunities are fully realized. Any other questions or comments? I mean, knowing that Carrie is on the line, I do think one thing that you'll be hearing more about us, and Stephen also from United Way, one thing you'll hear more from us in the future is that we are excited to announce that we were just selected to be part of the 80 by 3 project at United Way. I don't know if you call it a project, an initiative, but it's going to be a great opportunity for some of our staff to engage in some of that deeper training and learning and partnering. And so we got that email, I think it was just this morning, and we're super excited about it. So
I reviewed your application, FYI. Yeah. I don't know if everybody on the call knows kind of the full context of 80x3, but it's based on the premises of 80% of the brain is developed by the age of 3. So 80x3 resilient from the start is the name of the innovation initiative. And it's really about creating a trauma informed, and the way we kind of think about trauma informed is trauma responsive, culturally relevant, healing centered, right? That would be part of the ecosystem of early childhood education. And we're kind of incubating that in locally. And then the broader goal is that Minnesota would be a trauma informed region. That just how we do things is grounded and rooted in awareness and responsiveness to trauma in its many forms, right? We know about even our own secondary trauma when we're doing direct service or vicarious trauma, but we also know there's historical trauma and generational trauma and racialized trauma. And then we have the adverse childhood experiences, which if they're not buffered, right, to support brain development, they can affect the brain, they can affect school readiness, health outcomes, and this change the trajectory of a child's life. So really excited to see you guys come into the work. Feel like you've always been alongside the work, and it's great to have you at the table. So congrats.
Thank you. We're really excited about that opportunity to really continue and expand and intentionally focus on that, especially in our early childhood programs. So
Yeah,
very excited about that.
yeah. I think Steve might want to jump in. He's off camera. I know my coworker.
Yes.
Trying to get off mute, maybe.
Nodding yes.
We love technology, right?
I know, and I'm trying to do this on my phone and I always get confused when I do it this way. And I just wanted to highlight just how important it is, not only from the early childhood perspective, but also like how that relates to sort of the rest of that young person's life and their trajectory. So I focus on out of school time, after school programs, young people from like K through end of high school into post-secondary. And so just the work that you all are doing at FamilyWise is so critical to that foundational support and beginnings for young people, because we know that it has such a direct and important impact throughout their lives. So just want to say thank you. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stephen. And we know that, that I think that adolescence is sort of that second renaissance for young people. And there's nothing, I love working with that age group. I think they bring so much resilience and fire for kind of changing the world. So I've been really enriched by the young people at FamilyWise and, our young parents. And I think we have a lot to learn from them too. So this initiative that we have where we're working on how do we bring this information to young people has been really, really informative for us to hear from them about what they need. So
Yeah.
And we really appreciate, our partnership with, the Greater Twin Cities United Way. You've been a stalwart partner and in so many ways, really offering us opportunities to kind of grow and to provide kind of a holistic supportive community for the families that we work with. So,
Yeah.
so I know that we're at time, and I again want to thank everyone for joining today. We really appreciate you being here. Please stay tuned for more information about Family Fun Fest on our website and our e-newsletter. And please pay attention to kind of our blog on our website. We continue to try and keep things updated. And we look forward to having these conversations with you again. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.